welcome to The One Show with Adrian Childs.
I'm Christine Blakely, and never has the prospect of us having a particular guest generated so much fascinated excitement.
I would go out tonight, but I haven't got the strength to wait. And that's because all you need is me. That's how people go wrong.
Oh, it's Morrissey!
I was quite relaxed about it, but everyone I spoke to said he'll never come on in the end. Oh, you'll have trouble with him. You've seen Capital Company so far, I must say.
I can't imagine why people would say that.
He's really here because his mum loves this show.
Well,
That's
she
what
watches
it
it. She
is.
didn't say she loved it.
OK, she watches, maybe, yeah.
Does your mum watch?
She does, yes, and she's very impressed.
Is she?
But she's not without criticism.
Not without criticism.
That's fair
OK.
enough. We
Don't
can
share
hear
those with us. Not until afterwards, anyway. We've got our fanciest camera, camera one. It's up on a jib kind of thing. Mrs. Morrissey.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good.
Thank you
No,
for
she's not Mrs.
Isn't she?
No, she's Ms.
Ms.
And she's not
Let's do that again. Let's have the camera back up and sweep back in
It's
again.
Morrissey's mum,
OK.
that's all you need to say.
Ms. Morrissey, good evening.
No,
Morrissey's
sorry,
mum.
her name isn't Morrissey, it's Dwyer.
Yeah.
All right.
Get it
Okay.
right.
Not married.
It's all going terribly
married.
well. So. Listen, we've got a full house in the studio. They don't just come out here for anybody, I must say. So really look forward to hearing about Years of Refusal, album out today, and hearing some of your more famous fans as well. Not a day's going by at the moment, actually, without some bad news breaking on the jobs front.
Today's grimmest numbers came from the mini factory near Oxford, where 850 people are to lose their jobs.
The number of unemployed people in Britain is approaching 2 million, and as Anita Ryan has been finding out, many of them are white-collar workers out of work for the first time.
The 1980s. The Stranglers were storming the charts, and the garish orange job centre logo was etched on the national consciousness as unemployment hit 3 million. The desperate search along the rows of cards for what vacancies there were became a ritual for the millions of mostly industrial workers on the dole. With today's economic downturn, unemployment is hovering around the 2 million mark, and it's set to swell to the numbers we saw in the 80s by the end of the year.
Only this time, things are a little bit different. Although tens of thousands of blue-collar workers have lost their jobs in recent months, the fastest-growing sector claiming job seekers' allowance are from typically middle-class professions. And for a lot of them, it's the first time in their lives that they visited a job centre.
I signed on just at the beginning of January for the first time since I was a student. It's not a nice experience to actually go in there and have to, bare your soul and basically sign on the dotted line.
After a successful career as a finance director in the construction industry, Dave's finding unemployment in his 50s with a family to support and a mortgage to pay a real shock to the system.
It feels like life's at a standstill. I'm actively looking for a job on a daily basis, using the internet mainly in order to try and find out if there's any possibilities out there, because of the fact that I need desperately to get back into work if I can.
So have the job centre been helpful with your search?
Career advice sort of went out the window because I think they expected you're a professional, you know what to do, go out and look after yourself. So, to be honest, the levels that they go up to don't really meet my requirements in order to maintain the standard of living that I've been used to.
For those like Dave who haven't had to visit a job centre for decades but are now signing on every 2 weeks, impressions are a long way from the boys from the black stuff cliché.
Well, it all looks pretty nifty and slick to me. Gone are the big boards with the bits of paper on, gone are the...
Anymore. Most people have white-collar jobs, so they need to be able to cater for everybody, yeah.
And Morrissey, you did a stint on the dole back in the 80s. I suppose it felt different then to what it does now?
Well, I don't know how it feels now, but in the 70s it was terrible. It was shocking. I mean, job centres were just horrible places. But I was quite happy to be unemployed because I didn't want to work. I didn't want to have a job. And
that gets you into trouble these days, that does. You're denied benefits.
Well, but, these days anything gets you into trouble. I mean, we're all in trouble for one reason or another. But I couldn't think of a job I wanted to do, so I thought I shouldn't do any.
Yeah.
But I suppose we'd all have to sympathise with the white-collar worker who's only ever really enjoyed success, who's had no experience of going through this.
Therefore, why sympathise with them?
Right.
Oh, it's hard though when you're paying bills,
Yeah.
isn't it, Nita? Let's face it. And kids to feed.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the reality. If you've got children to feed, mortgages to pay, but, you know, a lot of people aren't signing on because they've got savings. That's the other thing. They don't think 60 quid a week's worth it, but for a lot of people, that's a lot of money. So.
For a lot of people as well, with the possibility of losing their job maybe in the next 6 months, what should you be doing at this point to try and prepare yourself for it?
Just, you know, check your savings. If you're already in employment and they're offering you kind of courses, get involved. Look at your skill set. What are you capable of doing? And also, maybe think of alternative careers. I don't know, going to songwriting.
Possibly, yeah.
Or why not just paint or do something creative?
Yeah, exactly, absolutely.
Well, I suppose they'd say it doesn't pay the bills, but it might be an option at the moment.
It does for many people.
Yeah.
That's true.
But as we said earlier, the fact that you were coming on the show generated two things: excitement and incredulity in equal measure.
Yeah, you
Morrissey.
really do have a massive following out there, famous fans, fanatical fans.
And indeed some famous fanatical fans who've passed this way over the last few weeks.
The lyrics are the soundtrack to my life.
I might not have become a poet if it hadn't been for him.
I adore him. If I hadn't have gotten into Morrissey, I don't think I'd be here today.
I was hooked right from the beginning.
I think at the time I just never seen anything like it.
And I used to write his lyrics on my bedroom wall.
I remember the hair going on the back of my neck and I thought, oh man, this is us. This is our generation.
He took all the things that pop music's about, which is being suntanned and handsome and getting all the girls, and he reversed them.
He just doesn't do sex, he doesn't do the bright lights, the man doesn't even iron his shirt. He's never sold out, you know.
I couldn't imagine him doing a Johnny Rotten and doing a butter advert.
I think a lot of people find him quite annoying, and I think that's a good thing.
Writing this to say in a gentle way.
I think Morrissey is very funny. I think some of the lyrics are hilarious.
Well, the lyrics are clever, wonderful, truthful, humorous.
Trudging slowly over wet sand, we go back to the bench where your clothes were stolen.
Some bands were singing about love and rhyming maybe and baby, and suddenly there's this guy saying, why pamper life's complexities when the leather runs smooth on the passenger seat?
Morrissey fans are pretty mental.
Managed to get myself launched on stage. I was quite happy about that. Sprained my wrist though, which was really painful.
I don't think you can spot a Morrissey fan.
I'm sure that when Morrissey finds that he's getting an endorsement from the leader of the Conservative Party, he will think, heaven knows, I'm miserable now. I'm a big fan, I'm afraid. Sorry about that.
A unique individual in the true sense of the word.
How do you react to people saying you're fantastic sort of all the time? Do you know what face to pull? Is it hard to find things to say?
It's very difficult to pull the right face, but it's very interesting. That's all I can say. I mean, it's fascinating. Is it me?
Yeah.
Well, I think it
Do they mean me?
Yes,
yes, they do mean me.
yeah.
They do mean
Oh, I see. Well, in that case, it's confusing. It's very confusing.
Because there's a lot of rock musicians out there, a lot of songwriters out there who've got fanatical fans. But with you, it's a bit like Bob Dylan or Eric Clapton. They confer upon you some kind of godlike status. There's nothing sensible you can reply to that.
It's very, very difficult. It's difficult to make comments because you might hurt people's feelings. But I get the sense that people are there for life, which is fantastic. Yeah. And I think that's also very unusual in pop music, because obviously everybody just flips, flops, comes and goes.
Of course, but with that comes responsibility, I guess.
I don't
Do you feel that at all? No?
No.
Do you just carry on,
Yes.
as long as you're enjoying it, you hope that the fans do as well?
I don't know about enjoyment, but I just carry on, and I don't feel responsibility. I just...
You're not fearful of letting them down with your next album or anything like that?
Definitely not. No.
Oh, that's good. That must be quite liberating. Yeah. Let's have a look at something from Years of Refusal, the new album. This is the first single, I'm Throwing My Arms Around Paris.
I have decided I'm throwing my arms around. I my love. In the absence of your smiling face.
Are they still good fun to do, those music videos? 'Cause
They never were, to be honest. It's a mystery to me, but sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not.
How much input do you have?
Very, very little. With the director, I just say, here's the song, how do you see it? Off you go.
Yeah.
So I'm not really involved.
So do you tend to do what you're told, or do you...
I don't do what I'm told, but I let somebody hammer the storyboard together.
Yeah.
You've described writing music as like launching your diary to music. It's about as good a description of writing music as I've ever heard.
Yes, yes. Well, I think it's been a very personal journey. Some people say it hasn't. Some people say it's full of mystery, but I don't think it is. I think it's very open. And I think I've been on the line for many, many years. And I don't think many pop songwriters are on the line. I think they detach themselves completely. They just write what's expected.
Does it get easier or harder, or it
just remains the same? It just remains the same, and it's the perception of what you do changes, but I don't personally change.
Yeah.
Not really.
But then that's, as we say, it's like an unlikely pop star in many ways, isn't it? I think that's the appeal.
Pop star? I don't think so.
How would you describe yourself?
I've got no idea. I've got no idea. And it's probably safest if I say nothing else.
Okay, that's fair enough. We'll go with that one. That's a great one.
Let's go back to unemployment.
We're going to architectural history.
We are, yeah. You see?
That's why I'm here, really.
I knew. We secretly knew that, Morris. You're going to like this one, you see. Our architectural historian, Jonathan Foyle, has been going round the country looking at why our streets look the way they do.
I was plain delighted. Ever so old this does, Morrissey. We once hear a horse and cart come clip-clopping by. It looks so old, this photo.
Live, yeah. But you see, what's most interesting is when you zoom in on that little boy. That's our Adrian. How sweet, eh?
I must say, you have changed.
Yes.
I'm not so sure.
Not necessarily for the better.
Yeah.
Now, this is where Morrissey grew up, in a terrace house in Old Trafford. Now, what are your memories of that place?
Well, very vivid, because we occupied 4 houses. It was called Queen Square. It backed onto a very famous building called Loretto College, which is still there, on the border of Old Trafford, Moss Side, and Hume that way. But we occupied 4 houses. We had a house, my grandmother had a house, my mother's sister had a house, and her other sister had a house. So we were very much the clan who ruled the place.
Were they knocked through like the Beatles in Help, weren't they? Yeah.
And at the very end, there was a really hard Manchester family called the Blows, who were very, very tough, and you didn't really mess with them. But very happy memories. And of course flattened now. People were so happy that they just destroyed the houses.
We're talking about our architectural historians. It's a shame he's not here, because I don't think we can see Morrissey's house again there. This is what they turned it into. Now, if that's progress, I'm a banana, because that doesn't look particularly great there, does it?
Well, it's very sad. It's very sad. But
I wonder what happened to the Blows. If you're a member of the Blows family from Manchester, I would like to contest Morrissey's memory of you, as not to be trifled with. Do let us know. Fantastic stuff. So, growing up in Manchester, how did that influence you as a musician? Do you think yourself as a son of Manchester, or is it just where you happen?
I think so, because the past is what we are, and Manchester was a very hard place. Obviously, it was a very working-class environment for me, and it shaped everything that I am.
Yeah.
And for better or worse.
And the Irish connection, I think, probably had a bit of an influence.
Well, all of my family were Irish, but I was born in Manchester, and they all moved to Manchester. But it was very much an Irish family.
Yeah.
So I never really had that really brittle, strong Manchester accent, which is unfortunate.
You'll like this one as well, Morris. Our science man, Marty Jobson's going to be busy this week, looking at the incredible things the body can do if you ask it nicely.
We'll be karate chopping wood, lifting people up with one finger, and generally marvelling about what humans can, and in today's case, unaccountably, can't do.
Have you ever tried